at y'all on this January 30th, 2026. And this just happens to be the eve of my beloved, unique Raquel Leona Harris's 40th birthday. Yes, that's right. Her 40th birthday would have been tomorrow. And it's kind of, I don't know, I guess strange that in a few days it will be a complete solid year that the documentary done on Pamela Butler and Unique's case from Washington, D.C. has been streaming on Tubi. A whole solid year that's been on there. So we'll see how that shakes out and how long it will continue to last. And I want to thank everybody that supported it and tuned into it and watched it and gave me your objectives, your opinions, asked me all the wonderful questions that you all have over the last year. It has really, really been great for me anyway. That's for sure. And like I said earlier, y'all, when I put my little blast out that I was going to do this live this evening, I guess by now everybody's heard, or not everybody, but a lot of people have heard that the former CNN news anchor, Don Lemon, has been arrested today. And I definitely wanted to come and give my input and my insight on what I think. And I want to hear from anyone else that wants to voice their opinion or leave a comment. And of course, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And check around and see all the other videos and things I have already uploaded. I think it is in excess of 300 videos at this point, a little over 300 videos. Yeah, but Don Lemon got himself arrested today. And me personally, I think it was coming. Um, they kind of like dodged it a little bit. Hey, how you doing? I see you. Hi. Yeah, but he has been arrested today. And my opinion on that, hello. How you doing, Rogan Evans? How are you? I see you. Hello, Gilbert Parada, I believe. Hey, how y'all doing? And AJ Gines, how you doing? I'm glad I kind of like gave an overview from my post and information that I put out on my social media pages, excuse me, in reference to the arrest of Don Lemon today. And it kind of struck me because, hey, Mr. Grubby, how you doing? How you doing? I see you, Mr. Grubby. I see y'all coming in. And that's another thing I was trying to give everybody else time to come in because I know a lot of our country is been bombarded with snow and bad weather and bad roads, bad traffic, just bad everything when it's this cold. Even um, being able to move gets slowed down with, you know, these types of storms, these magnitudes. But yeah, y'all, I'm gonna give probably a few more seconds to allow other people to come in. Hello, everybody. I see y'all waving and how you doing and hi, hello. I'm not sure what Mr. Grubby is saying, but clarify that for me when you can. But yeah, y'all. So I'm going to go on into what I have so far, and I guess everyone else that comes in after this point can it's gonna be, I guess, a part of the replay game for this commentary or content or whatever it's known as. But yeah, y'all, Don Lemon was arrested today. And I'm interested to see what other thoughts um add on to mine. But my thought on the whole thing is I think a lot of this stuff that now is a double standard on the strength of people feeling like they can exercise their moral compass and their legal, according to United States federal and state laws. They can kind of, shade some of the areas with um, what is important to them or what they're willing to fight for. And what I can say is I've seen reports from Don Lemon. I listened at a lot of the commentators that was on or doing his show today, and the majority was of them, most of them were, if not all of them, seeing as though it was his channel, um, had the opinion that Don is right in this whole storming a sanctuary situation that he allowed himself to get into. Um, and my main problem with the whole thing is they had a right to peacefully protest whatever they felt was going on in the church. I don't care what church it is. I don't care what the, religious title, Christian, Methodist, Buddhist, Muslim. Don't even care about that. What I do care about, which I stated in, ironically enough, the documentary about Unique and Pamela's case on the Tubi documentary. And those of you that have saw it already know when I speak in that documentary, I speak about um, democracy and equality and humanity. And I feel like it was pretty inhumane to just barge up into people's church and sanctuary and disrupt what they believe in when you didn't want anybody disrupting, when you were fighting for whatever it was you were fighting for, whether it was journalistics rights, whether it was GAY persons' rights, whether it was HOMOSEXUAL rights, whatever rights, that you were fighting for, or stories, that you had the right to do that. peacefully in your own peace sanctuary, or place of what you believe in and you worship. And what I can say is that couldn't have been my Baptist church. Because us Baptists, that would have been a whole lot more different. I don't care how, and I don't like the way they are spinning these versions, narratives, whatever you want to call it, about these First Amendment rights as far as speech goes, journalistic speech. And we must remember now, I see a little word they threw in there that was, I think, part of the trick bag. He's an independent journalist, which means he no longer has the backing of CNN, I think, which was the news channel that he was on before. We ain't gonna go into all that because I'm trying to be as specific as I possibly can and clear as I possibly can as far as how I feel about this whole arrest. If I would have just barged in, and then the thing that make it so bad, like I said, is to barge into the actual sanctuary and the building of these people. Now, if he would have stayed on the parking lot and waited to talk to the people as they were coming out of that service, I don't think I would have even really had no verbal smoke for him right now, because that's more or less to me on public property. Of course, we know a church is a public place, but there should be, or if I'm not mistaken, their right to peacefully assemble in their sanctuary without interruption, then there's a problem. If not locally and statewide, definitely I would think federally. I mean, a lot of people get the feds mixed up with state charges. And if I'm not mistaken, he was arrested by the federales, federal government, whatever label you want to put on it, which would have been different than uh, California police officer, whatever jurisdiction or whatever it was that he was in over there in California when he got arrested. We talk about the feds, and certain churches, if I'm not mistaken, are supposed to be protected under state and federal law, which means, in my opinion, he should have stayed and kept it cute on the parking lot. And I mean, I've seen so many reporters, they're walking with the person to their vehicle or whatever and talking to them at the same time. For you to have just bum rushed up in there like that with a group of people, and I saw it from the beginning. It's almost like it was premeditated, um, in my opinion, without enough information. Because where I think, in my opinion, that he went wrong was he didn't really know what was going on. He just, you know, was going along to get along with the whole barging crew or whatever, bum rushing crew, whatever you want to call them, because that daggone show was not a peaceful outside protest outside of the church. When they entered that building is where I think the problem came in, or at least for me, that's where the problem came in. Because I personally don't want to be in my church praying with people that I am familiar with, and then all of a sudden, a whole bunch of strangers just bust up in there, like they have rights and they can just stomp all over mine. That's where I have a problem. If they had stayed on the parking lots and waited for the people to come out and then, you know, asked for permission from the people to get in an interview for him, I think that would have played a whole lot better in his favor as far as not even getting arrested. But we will definitely see how that plays out in court, because I mean, none of us should feel like we should be able to, even in me in activism and being an advocate for certain human rights, um, for people just simply as human beings. I don't feel like I have the right to just barge up in people's sanctuary and place of worship. And what I do know is, so far at last check that I knew, they had some type of fundraiser going on where they was raising money for his legal defense team. And I'm like, okay, he's a well-paid journalist. What do he need donations for? So that caught my attention. And like I said, just the whole constitutional First Amendment, whatever people want to say, right, it's no different than, racial versus journalistic rights. But all of it needs to be taken seriously by all of us. Because, like I said, I would have never. And that's just, I guess, because the people that raised me well. But I would have never just went along with that. I mean, it seems like his feet should have stopped him at the door before he even passed the threshold of the sanctuary. But in any case, like I said, I think that's where he went wrong. That's just my opinion. And another thing about that, it seems like they pick and choose um, what they want to, in their words, protest. I didn't see a whole lot of journalists, very few that was protesting when I was looking for my daughter up against their conglomerate that they worked for. It was very few, and most of them had their own um shows and things like that. But that was 15 years ago. What I'm understanding, that's been half the time that Don Lemon has been a journalist. And um I wonder how many unresolved unalivings and, missing POCs or things like that he has really advocated for, especially to the magnitude that, his followers are um, driving and supporting him. Because him and a whole bunch of other reporters, journalists, or whatever they want to call themselves. When my daughter came up missing 15 years ago, a lot of them, I couldn't even get them on the phone. I had hang up calls, all kinds of stuff to them, their staff, or whatever, because they were too busy following the Chandra Levy trial and the Natalie Holloway stories. um, and they weren't thinking about my little daughter. She wasn't really a factor for them. So I, really and truly um can't support certain things. I don't care who's doing it. Period. And then, I think I heard one of the opinions on his whole arrest today from one of the persons was like, oh my God, none of us were safe. None of us were safe. And I first thought what that was, you just not figuring that out that ain't none of us safe? Or are you just talking about who you want to talk about, which is the journalistic, I guess, martyr at this particular time? It's amazing how people pick and choose because ain't none of us been safe for a long time. And it went way before Donald Trump got into the office. This is like way before his time. He's not the, you know, be all and end all when it comes to things like that. It's like people that are in that political space really heavy. It's always what you gotta they you know, um want everybody under their umbrella to be on their particular side and not even see or try to see the other side's point of view. And that's why I be having a problem with a lot of this stuff. Because, like I said, he wouldn't want nobody to crash a pride parade like that. But it was okay in his mind for him to just do the same thing to people worshiping in their sanctuary. Come on, man. You can't have it both ways. Got to be on one side of the fence or the other when it comes to um, my opinion. And that's all I can say on that. But I did also want to share with my people the snack recall. I'm going to be posting something on my social media platforms, but right before I got on here, I was hearing about a snack recall in reference to a warehouse where they were being stored, where there were like rodent droppings and urine um, that has contaminated these products. Also, was it Tylenol, a pain reliever? But like I said, stay up on my social media platforms, and as I do already, I will be posting those recalls and a list of them for everybody to be able to be alert. And I think one of them was Snickers too, and I love Snickers. I can't even eat no daggone Snickers. Oh Lord, have mercy, Jesus. But anyway, y'all, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate y'all listening to what I had to say, and definitely like, share, and subscribe my new and upcoming YouTube channel. And drop me a comment and let me know what y'all think about this whole Don Lemon thing. I was waiting to get a certain number of people on here and I would have shown my face, but I don't see enough on here. So maybe I'll give y'all a actual visual live the next time. But until then, everybody be safe, stay warm, and stay blessed.